Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Many thanks uh, for your support to this groundbreaking initiative, 100 poets around the world for love. And many thanks to all those poets who have been joining as part of this series from all across the world. As you know, the Gronthee is a platform for predominantly South Asian literature, philosophy, but it also promotes global poetry, global literature, global philosophy. 30 years ago, it started its journey with the promotion of Bengali experimental poetry, experimental literature, accommodating all new voices, talented, powerful new voices. And gradually, it is becoming a globe-centric, world-centric platform. And as you know, last year, we did a phenomenal festival, which was widely acclaimed by poetry lovers in London. And that is called International Poetry Festival in London. And this year, it was supposed to happen in many prestigious venues of London, and that includes Oxford University as well. But unfortunately, during this COVID, we couldn't do it. And I think we have to postpone this year's festival, live festival. But we'll, like you know, the journey that is started through Facebook Live, that will continue. Many thanks to all poetry lovers from all across the world who keep leaving so many inspiring comments, so many beautiful suggestions, and then that help us to improve. And also all those poets from different languages, very powerful poets who have already joined as part of this series and will be joining as part of the series. And that happens every Saturday at 4 p.m. As you know, today we were 10 minutes late for some technical difficulties. And also, Gronthee is in conversation with some other, especially contemporary philosophers, contemporary poets all across the globe.
I think we have lost him. Do you
I'm not listening.
I think I'm here. I think I'm here again. Sorry for this technical glitches again and again. That's I'm sure. Really sorry. I was thrown out of the system, but now fortunately I'm here again. So many thanks to those who left inspiring comments, sharing this stream in your timeline and letting your friends be the be the part of this beautiful moment of poetry. So please, ladies and gentlemen, that is streaming live from Gronthee's page, and it is also streaming live from my page too, my personal profile. It will be available in Poet's profile as well. So Poet's profile very soon. I have shared this now, so it should be available in my profile. Please feel free to share, and let me check whether I can do this in a way. So that's available in my profile. So please feel free to share in your timeline and let your friends have the opportunity to be the part of this wonderful session. So let me introduce our today's poets and panel members. We are delighted to have some wonderful poets of this time. Youssaf Alaoui, a friend and a wonderful poet who joined from California. Many, many thanks, Youssaf, for joining as part of the series, and a warm welcome to today's show. You are muted, so if you kindly unmute yourself.
Hi, Ahmed. Nice to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome.
It's an honor to be among you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our other poets are Alfred Khokon, who joined all the way from Bangladesh. Many thanks, Alfred Khokon, for joining as part of the series, and a warm welcome to today's show.
Thank
Alfred,
you so much.
yeah, if you kindly unmute yourself.
Thank you so much. Love for all.
Alfred, can you talk in front of the device so that your voice is clearer? We can't hear you properly.
Okay. Now, are you listening me? Sir?
Still your voice is not that clear. So more you come closer to the device, the more your voice will be clearer.
Now?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So thank you everybody. Thank you. Gronthee, especially
Alfred, best practice would be, I think, if you kindly get your earphone off. If you kindly get your earphone off, your voice is not clearer. I can confirm that I can't hear you properly. So if you kindly get your earphone off, and then if you kindly talk in front of the device, that would be great. But we'll come back to you. We have another poet who joined from Bangladesh, Khaled Hussain. Many thanks for joining, Khaled, and a warm welcome to today's show.
Thank you. Good evening, Ahmed Kaysher. It's no doubt a great pleasure for us, for me, that I am now with you, all of the great poets of the world, from here and there. No doubt it is praiseworthy, and for me it is a joyful event. Thank you. And I thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We have Siobhan Mac Mahon, a wonderful poet of this time. Many thanks, Siobhan, for joining. You joined as part of this, as part of Gronthee's other initiative before, and we have worked so closely in many collaborations. Thank you very much for your generosity, and many thanks for joining as part of this series again.
Well, thank you, Ahmed. It's an absolute pleasure. And I'm in Dublin at last, so it's lovely to be joining you from my quarantine in Dublin.
Right. We have Sutapa Sengupta, who joined from India. Many thanks, Sutapa, for joining as part of this series, and a warm welcome to today's show.
Thank you, everybody. স্বাগত সকলকে। এরকম দূর থেকে যোগাযোগের মাধ্যম খুঁজে পাওয়ার জন্য, কেননা যখন আমরা সব থেকে দূরে যে যার খাঁচায় প্রায় আটকে আছি, তখন এভাবে যোগাযোগই সব থেকে সুন্দর এবং সম্ভব। নমস্কার।
Thank you. Thank you. We have the regular panel members, Shaheen Mitul, who is part and parcel of this series. Many thanks, Mitul, for joining. Mitul is a spoken word artist as well, and a warm welcome to today's show.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to have 5 phenomenal poets here today as part of this Facebook Live series, 100 Poets Around the World for Love. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Mitul. We also have the editor of the Gronthee, poet Shamim Shahan. Many thanks, Shamim Shahan, for joining as part of the series, and a warm welcome to today's show.
Good evening. Firstly, I'm going to remember Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and his whole family members, because today is memorable day for Bangladesh, people of Bangladesh. On 15th August 1975, all members of the family, including the architect of Bangladesh, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, were assigned and wish them peace of mind. Today is the 8th day of 100 poets around the world for love as part of the Gronthee Facebook Live series. I cordially welcome poet Youssaf Alaoui, poet Sutapa Sengupta, poet Alfred Khokon, poet Siobhan Mac Mahon, and poet Khaled Hussain. Poet, friend, and my brother, T M Ahmed Kaysher, has already introduced about Gronthee initiative. The Gronthee is one of the top platforms for South Asian literature, philosophy, and sociology in Britain. We start with a bunch of friends at the beginning at early 1990s. That was purely Bangladesh centric. Now it is becoming quite global platform. The people we invite to this platform have created their own location from their respective places. It may be poetry, stories, articles, novels, or criticism. From the beginning of the Glen to the present day, everyone is doing the work on their own. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to those friends, including poet Mahbub Lilen, poet Jofi Setu, poet Mushtaq Ahmuddin, poet T M Ahmed Kaysher, novelist Ahmed Minhas, poet Helal Ahmed Chaudhry, poet Layag Ahmed Numan, poet Fazlur Rahman Babul, and many more. The Gronthee has been able to conquer the country and created unique platform in the world. The series that we have started on this Facebook Live is being watched from all over the world. Greeting and love to all who are watching this show today. Thank you everyone, including one of our team member, Shaheen Mitul. Best wishes, Kaysher.
Many thanks, Shamim Shahan, for your welcoming speech. Let us start with Youssaf Alaoui. First of all, Youssaf, how are you? Especially in this time of self-isolation, how are you? And perhaps what are you doing? How are you spending your time, which could be educational for others as well?
I was looking forward to this time. I mean, it's a disaster and many people are dying. But I figured that if I'm stuck in my house, I would finally have enough time to read the piles of books that are waiting for me in just about every room in my household. And then a friend approached me about a project they were doing. And then I started a project. I just had a thought, so I just started my own thing. And then all of a sudden, I'm really busy doing a lot of different things all over the place, and I thought I would have enough time. And I think this is common. I mention it because I think it's common. I think everyone is busy out of their minds. Maybe they've lost their job. And they're busy trying to find a new job. Maybe they're worrying about their house and their home and stuff like that. You know, with our economies shutting down around the world, it's no joke, but there are some people who can work from remote, and I work by, you know, via with different little projects. And I've got no end of projects now. It's frustrating, but it's great work. It's fun work. And recently we've had a huge wildfire in California, which we are known to have. This one is called the Lake Fire, and it's like, I believe, just 100,000 acres. It's just like acres and acres and acres of outside, I think it's outside Los Angeles. And at the same time, the day before yesterday, we had a thunderstorm that came through California, And now it's just sweltering heat. And I live on the beach, and I haven't gone to the beach yet because the sand will blister your feet before you can get to the water, which is going to be ice cold. So, but maybe I'll try that today. Anyway, so I understand that I'm supposed to read a poem, right?
Yeah. Just before you start reading,
Sure.
Youssaf, Mitul, if you kindly read a brief introduction on Youssaf.
Okay. Oh, read an introduction of myself. I don't have one prepared.
Mitul, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Youssaf Alaoui is an Arab-Latino poet born in California. His family and heritage are an endless source of inspiration for his varied, dark, spiritual, and carnal writings. He has an MFA in poetics from New College of California, Mission District, San Francisco. There he studied classical Arabic, Spanish Baroque, and Moroccan contemporary poetry. He is extremely well-versed in the most dour and macabre literature of the 19th century. His writings have appeared in Exquisite Corpse, Big Bridge, Cherry Blades, 580 Splits, Carcinogenic Poetry, Tsunami Books, Full of Crow, and Red Fez. Youssaf is an original creator of the East Bay Literary Arts Festival, Beast Crawl. In 2012, he created Paper Press Books and Associates Publishing Company. This press offers several important books of poetry and one poetry and art compendium. Youssaf also serves as an associate editor for Big Bridge Press. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitul. Youssaf, if you kindly read perhaps 2 or 3 poems now, and then we'll come back to you again. Youssaf also anchored. It's a pleasure to have both of you and Siobhan together. They anchored a wonderful series, groundbreaking project called 100,000 Poets of the World for Change. So Youssaf, if you kindly read some about 2 or 3 points at a time.
Well, thank you so much for offering me this opportunity. Ahmed, of course, it's such a pleasure to meet you. It's great to be here with Siobhan, of course. We worked so well. We had a great time. It was crazy good, but we had a great time. And I'm so glad that it left you with a warm feeling as well. And Shaheen, thank you so much for reading that wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. Yeah, so Big Bridge Press is kind of, defunct now, I believe. But I has helped with some things in the past. So here's an introduction to my poetry. I was wondering where to start, but I was in Marrakesh recently, and it's one of my, because I didn't grow up in Morocco, I just grew up in the west of the United States, and I'm only beginning to understand Morocco. I only met my family when I was about 29, and I'm still learning about it. One of the things that I like to do is to go get a riad in the ancient Medina and to walk it with my eyes open, but forgetting that I know anything at all. And just, it's very easy to lose oneself. It's a labyrinth. So I just walked around and around. And in Tanger, it was a little more difficult to get lost in the Medina because it's so tiny. And, I'd turn a corner and there'd be the same group of kids going, "Hey, what's up?" Like, that's you guys again. But in Marrakesh, I had a great time. Chefchaouen has a great Medina to get lost in, but in Marrakesh, I pretended like I had just been dropped out of nowhere. And so I wrote a poem to that effect, but also covering a couple other topics. This is called To the Baths of Asahara. Your water starts to flow with the blood of a kill by lions in the high Atlas Mountains. Spanked into life from the grief of this kill, the brooding stream grows in force to invade the rocks above Urica, then cleaves its way to Marrakesh, scattering the land as it goes. Now it runs as it sprawls, wailing through the valley with the soul of a beloved, destroying the desert, sprouting trees beside it, never believing its insides would soon spill to warm your back. Trik Jazuli, you count one misstep before falling into the fountain of Ben Sliman, daydreaming on the way to your bath, wondering if the mountain cats have survived. Here in the Ochre City, they have shrunk, but are no less vicious. Rough, hewn, lithe spirits of freedom, they wander alleys and rooftops and tread the edges of walls looking for prey, anything that moves like a bird. Trik, take care to watch the birds. They are quick and reasoned. In groups, they strafe the rooftops, tracing currents of consciousness in brush strokes. People flow through tributaries of the souk in covered pathways, clay and wooden capillaries bearing greens, radishes, chickens, clotted with bulbous lamps. Here is where a mule treads on your back, Trik, worn 3 times, but you would not move. You were so entranced by the piles of meat. You saw them as an edible bestiary, then as young tagines, a menagerie of parts, legs that can't run, eyes that only stare, and snouts pointing every which way. The baths of Asahara can't be far off. Rivers of blood and money will guide you there. Follow the smell of black soap and rose oil. Sunset reveals spouts of pink light above the clouds, and they are stabbed by the Kutubia, a lone sword in the back of the city, guarding the dead, pointing at God. Evening calls to prayer fly from every angle, sung 100 ways. The disparaging voices form a lake of song over the city. The Couscous Palace high above the alleys has electric lights that will shock you if you touch them. And do not look for food there, Trik. And keep your precious body away from strange water. This is the last of your warnings. The dark jinn are starving, unknowing of themselves, clamoring for their reflection. A deep feud in a congress of clouds asserts the sky. You were born under such a thunderbolt, for collisions are the very source of life. Sky versus mountain, wind versus voice, fire versus clay, water versus rock, and fang versus hide. This song versus your vision. Your bath will soon be ready. A young boy will help. You must wait for his call. That's the end of that poem. It's kind of long. Would you like me to? Thank you so much. Thank you.
You can read perhaps another one. You said
Maybe a little one or something. So I live close to the ocean. So I left Oakland years back, about a few years back, and so I'm now confronted with this. I call the ocean. I'm next to the ocean. I call the ocean the phenomenon, and I call the beach the event horizon. Right? Because the ocean is amazing, and it's like an invisible forest. It's like the forest is there and the life is there and it's teeming, and the sand is teeming with life, even the sand. And so I started to write as many poems as I could about the sea. And I'll read a very short one of the sea poems. Again tonight swimming, Skies are vast and oblivious. My mind circles its tiny case, shoulders of Orion stretching. I am lost once more, treading the icy black horns of a boundless ocean. Date palms slope in memory, a pleasanter time. Seals bark on the rocks. I keep waking here, a few yards from the ship. There's nothing darker or more unconcerned than the waters around me, a blank surface reaching everywhere to the empty horizon. Again tonight, I find myself swimming. Each time this flotsam considers itself either worthy or not of climbing back up over the rails. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Many thanks, Youssaf. We'll come back to you soon, but let me go back to poet Alfred Khokon. Mitul, if you kindly read a brief introduction on poet Alfred Khokon. Unless you want to read some audience's comment. If you kindly read some audience's comment first, and then we'll go back to Alfred.
Okay. Sohail Ahmed, good afternoon, everyone. Shahid Kais, শুনছি দুর্দান্ত আয়োজন গ্রন্থীকে ধন্যবাদ কবি বন্ধু আলফ্রেড খোকন কবি খালেদ হোসাইন সহ অন্য সব কবিদের প্রতি রইল শুভকামনা শামিমা সুলতানা শুভকামনা সবার জন্য ভালো একটি আয়োজন শিরিন সামাদ সাকি সুন্দর আয়োজন শুভকামনা ফখরুল আম্বিয়া শুভকামনা নিরন্তর Thank you. I will read a brief introduction of poet Alfred Khokon. Alfred Khokon, an eminent and widely acclaimed young poet of Bangladesh, was born in 1971 in Borishal, Bangladesh. Alfred Khokon obtained MA in Bangla literature from University of Dhaka. Alfred Khokon began his professional career as a journalist for a national daily newspaper. Currently, he is working as the chief of program for a nationally acclaimed TV channel. He is the editor of a literary magazine called Nandon. His published volumes of poems include Ure Jaccho Megh, Shambhabbo Roddure, Phalguner Ghotonaboli, Modhu Brikho Protarona Bish, She Kothao Nei, Sadharon Kobita, Nirbachito Kobita, etc. As a poet, Alfred Khokon believes that poetry is not luxury and that poetry is the most engaging and gripping field of humanity's struggle for freedom and creativity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitul. Many thanks. Alfred, কেমন আছেন আপনি? অনেকদিন পরে কথা হচ্ছে আপনার সঙ্গে। আগে আপনার কথাটা একটু মানে আরেকটু ক্লিয়ার কিভাবে করা যায় যদি দেখা যায় একটু আপনার কথা স্পষ্ট শোনা যাচ্ছে না এখন একটু কথা বলুন আপনি
আমি কথা বলছি শোনা যাচ্ছে
আচ্ছা হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে এইভাবে দেখি কতক্ষণ শোনা যায় ঠিক আছে
আচ্ছা দেখা যাচ্ছে থ্যাংক ইউ
আপনার একবার কি একটু দেখতে পারি আপনার ইয়ারফোনটা খুলে একটু দেখা যায় কিনা আপনি যদি ডিভাইসের ঠিক সামনে কথা বলেন আপনি একটু ডিভাইসের সামনে গিয়ে কথা বললে ইয়ারফোনটা বোধহয় ইয়ারফোনটা আপনার ডিভাইস থেকে খুলে নিন হ্যাঁ ইয়ারফোনটা আপনার ডিভাইস থেকে খুলে নিন খুলে নিয়ে যদি কথাটা বলেন দেখি তো কেমন লাগে হ্যালো
হ্যাঁ আমি হেডফোন খুলে দিয়েছি এখন কি শুনতে পাচ্ছেন
একদম এখন ফার বেটার দেন ইট ওয়াজ এনিওয়ে
এখন শুনতে পাচ্ছেন
আপনি কেমন আছেন একটু বলুন আপনার সঙ্গে অনেকদিন পরে কথা হচ্ছে আমার মনে আছে সাদেত ভাই শাহিন ভাই ছিলেন একবার খুব আপনারা সরোদ শুনছিলেন, শাহিন ভাই আমাকে ফোন দিলেন, সাজাদ হোসেন খান বললেন যে কবি আলফ্রেড খোকেন আছেন, কথা বলেন। তো ওই সময় একটু কথা হলো আপনার সঙ্গে। এখন এই ইন দিস ডিফিকাল্ট টাইম আপনি এখন কেমন আছেন?
অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমরা তো প্যান্ডামিকের মধ্যে আছি। বাংলাদেশের অবস্থা সবাই কম বেশি জানে। তবুও আমরা আসলে এখন একটা পর্যায়ে আসলে কি বলা যায় যে আমরা সবাই চেষ্টা করছি, হ্যাঁ, মানে সার্ভাইভ করার জন্য। হ্যাঁ, তো
ঠিক আছে, আপনার স্ট্রেইট কবিতায় চলে যেতে চাই একটু। আপনার কাছে হয়তো দু তিনটা, if you kindly read about 2 or 3 poems at a time and then we'll come back to you again for the next round.
okay. First, I like to hello everyone, especially poet Siobhan Mac Mahon, Youssaf Alaoui-Fdili, and my close and favorite poet Khaled Hussain, also T M Kaysher, Shamim, especially Shaheen Mitul. Thank you all. Love for all. First, I would like to respect our father of the nation and the great leader, world famous great leader, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Today we observe his 45 death anniversary. And I like to thank Gronthee for this poetry evening. Dear friends, I will recite a poem first in Bangla, and after that I will recite it in English. আমার কবিতার নাম ফাল্গুনের ঘটনাবলী। অনেক গরল মধু পান করে আমি আজ নির্জনে বসেছি। এইখানে এত বেশি কাতরতা, এত বেশি চুপে কোলাহল। চারিদিক থেকে পাতাপত্র উড়ে আসে, গোপন বাতাসের জল আমার ঠোঁটের ভাঁজে। আহা, কি যে মৃদু মৃদু লাগে। অনেক গরল মধু পান করে আমি আজ নির্জনে বসেছি। একটা ছোট পাখি বনের প্রতাপ থেকে এইখানে এসে মজা পেয়ে গেছে, মনে হয় আমাকেও বুঝে নিল খুব। একটা ক্ষীণ পিপীলিকা আমার পায়েতে ক্রমশ নিচ্ছুক। কোনো ধ্বনি নেই, প্রতিধ্বনি কিংবা ইশারা সংকেত, কোনো তার বার্তা। অমলের ফোনে পুনশ্চ নদী মেঘ, ফাল্গুনের ঘটনাবলী নিয়ে তুমি উড়ে যাচ্ছ সন্ধেবেলা। একটা দোয়েল আমার হৃদয়ে দিল অভিনব দোলা। অনেক গরল মধু পান করে আমি আজ নির্জনে বসেছি। বিশাল দুপুর বেলা, আপাতত আর কোনো দৃশ্য নেই। চারিদিকে রুচি বদলের উপদেশ নিয়ে বসেছি নির্জনে। আমার সরল ব্ল্যাকবোর্ড তুমি অদূরেই মুছে যেতে থাকো। Dear friends and my listeners, now I will be reciting in English for my other language, for my friends, those who are English and other language. The Falgun phenomena. It has been translated by Professor Dr. Alfred Khokon. The Falgun phenomena, drinking much poisonous nectar, have I reclaimed in this solitude today. So much restless mourn here, so much silence keeps passing. Leaves keep landing in flights from all around. The water of the sacred wind lurks in the fold of my leaves. Ah, those mild strokes. Drinking much poisonous nectar have I reclaimed in this solitude today. A little bird returned here from the domination of a forest. Finding delight here, I think it has gotten to know me quite well. An ant in destiny moves in the direction of gradual silence in my feet. There are no sounds, no echoes, or even no signs in signals, no telegraphs indeed. The Falgun isn't accompanied by post-scripted. Rivers of clouds keep soaring on Amol's phone this evening. A magpie robin, it creates a new ripple in my heart. Drinking much poisonous nectar have I reclaimed in this solitude today. A closal, non-child cheer, but each bit of skins and spectacles for now. Advice from all around about changing taste. I have reclaimed solitary. My naive blackboard to keep getting erased and erased nearby. I see. Okay.
Thank you, Alfred. You can read perhaps another one before we move on to the next poet.
Okay. My next poem. The more I doubt you, the more I am. The more I will get your address, the more I am the first one. Suspensions are always aesthetic. Every day as I keep crossing the street, folks, one after another keeps signaling, come, come this way. I keep circling in all of 4 directions and learn the art of dissecting a watermelon from the footpath, those pop figures advertised on billboards, as I was then waiting at a bus stop, all sun lonely at midnight. Itu is close the turning point of Chashara Moor, a boy would intone, finger pointing to a distance. Look, look, the cinema posters are hanging out there. The more I doubt you, the more I am. The more I will get your address, the more I am the first one. Sorry, sir.
Thank you. Many thanks. Many thanks, Alfred. I have, Siobhan said, lovely poem, Alfred. Siobhan Mac Mahon, just comment. Our next poet is Siobhan. But in the meantime, Mitul, if you kindly read some audience's feedback and then Siobhan's brief introduction. Shamim Reza, who is a great supporter from behind the scene of this series, also watching and left some wonderful comments. শেষ পর্যন্ত দেখতে পাচ্ছি প্রিয় সকল মানুষেরা, all poets are his favorite, that's what he said. So many thanks, Shamim, for your great support and many thanks for watching. Mitul, if you kindly read some more audience's feedback and then if you kindly read Siobhan's brief introduction. Siobhan, I just tagged you because you shared Gronthee's page instead of the live streaming. So I tagged you the live streaming. If you kindly share from there so that audiences will come back from your network as well. So you rather, instead of sharing the live streaming, you shared the Gronthee's page. That's why now I tagged you the live streaming. So if you kindly share from there, that would be great.
So
Mitul, if you kindly, yeah, please go on.
Nilatul, good to see you all in one frame. This can be a great learning for us. Lopa Momtaz, Shubho Uddog, Ujjwal Chakraborty, best wishes, Subroto Kumar Rai, আমার এক প্রিয় কবি ধুতরা আনত ব্রজা সুতপা সেনগুপ্তর জন্য বসে আছি. Ranjit Dash, thank you. Youssaf Alaoui for your excellent poem. Subroto Kumar Rai, Alfred Khokoner কবিতা বহুদিন পর. Shahid Kais, Alfred Khokoner কবিতা শুনছি ভীষণ ভালো লাগছে বরাবরের মতোই. খোরশেদ আলম, সবার জন্য শুভকামনা. Welcome everyone in the auspicious moment of poetry. লোপা মমতাজ, এর আগেও কি বিভিন্ন দেশে কবিদের নিয়ে এমন আয়োজন হয়েছিল এই প্ল্যাটফর্মে? ভালো উদ্যোগ.
If you kindly read a brief introduction on Siobhan Mitul.
Yeah, sure. Siobhan Mac Mahon is Irish performance poet living in Yorkshire. The live experience and embodiment of the spoken word is at the heart and center of her work. Her poems, powerful and often funny, celebrate and explore our sacred connection and belonging to the earth. Siobhan has been writing and performing her poetry, collaborating with other artists, creating spoken word projects for over 20 years. She performs widely in England, Ireland, and Europe. She has combined spoken word with music, dance, art, and with film, working with poets and artists from many different backgrounds and cultures. Projects include The Mouth of the Cave, Voices of Women, Cooling Down the Moon, and Echoes of a Spiritual Nature. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitul. Before I move on to Siobhan, I'm just asking whether we managed to find the live streaming okay. I just tagged Alfred Khokon as well. So if you, Alfred, if you kindly share from there, if you find it difficult to share from the page. I think Khaled Hussain is not my friend, but this is streaming live from Gronthee's page and Shamim Shahan's page as well. So some of you perhaps the friend of Shamim Shahan, so you can share from there. We need to make it as interactive as possible. As you can see, number of audiences are leaving so many beautiful feedback on this poetry reading. Ranjit Dash wrote, "The more I doubt you, the more I am." A good poem by Alfred Khokon. Thank you. Shahid Kais wrote, "Listening, great initiative taken by the Gronthee, best wishes for poet Alfred Khokon, Khaled Hussain, and all other poets from the different parts of the world." Many thanks, Shahid Kais. Shahid Kais was featured of this part of the series as well. So Siobhan, how are you?
I'm very
You are
well,
in Dublin,
thank you. Yes, I'm in Dublin.
You are in Dublin.
First time in 6 months. It's wonderful to be back here. I'm not allowed to visit family yet. I have to wait until Tuesday, or no, Wednesday, and then I can visit family. So, but I'm here.
14 days. Wow.
I've done 10 days. So thank you so much for inviting me. Yeah. So thank you so much for inviting me. It's wonderful to be with all these poets from all the different parts of the world. It's really a great honor and a privilege. And thank you, Shaheen, for your beautiful introduction. So as I'm in Dublin, I thought I would do some poems kind of that are coming from there, really. The first poem, and it's a brand new poem, which I'm not sure, I think it's finished, but I'll see how it sounds today and then we'll see. This is a poem, I'll explain a bit because it's important, I think, for this one. It's about a poet called Evan Boland, who was one of our really, well, Evan Boland is an Irish poet, a woman poet, female poet, who died earlier this year, very sadly. She's really widely known over here in Ireland and I think probably around the world. A wonderful, wonderful poet. But one of the things that she particularly did was to take poetry out of a kind of a very masculine and nationalistic kind of way of how poetry, a lot of poetry had been in Ireland, and brought it into a different arena and brought it more into the female voice as well. So this poem is for Evan, is in memory of Evan Boland. And if you do get a chance, I'll put her name up. Do check her out. It's Evan Boland, and she died this year. So I'm going to just find this poem now, which is brand new. So let's have a go. Okay. And it's called Paving the Way, because she did pave the way for a lot of poets. There is a woman in a country that is not her own, weeping at a kitchen table. She is listening to the radio as the voices of a nation celebrate the words of a poet who has died, who wrote, it seems, of a life not unlike her own, who wrote of the quiet hours in the dark of the night feeding a child, who wrote of the laying of a table, of the way the sun might slant across the cups. She listens as the small moments of her invisible life are made holy, transfigured into prayer in the words of a poet she never knew, the way you might look up from the kitchen sink folding a damp cloth and catch a glimpse of yourself in the darkening glass of an autumn evening and know yourself for the first time in the words of a poet and marvel at the way you might put the words for poet and great and woman into a single sentence that burns a hole in the dark history of your country. So that's for Ivan Boland. The next one is another one, again, based really from Ireland, and in Ireland until about the 60s and the 70s, if the baby died before it was baptized, it wasn't allowed to be buried in consecrated ground. It wasn't allowed to be buried in the church ground, and it had to be buried in unconsecrated ground outside of the holy ground. And there were places called Kilini, and recently, in the last sort of maybe 10 years or so, a lot of these old burial sites have been blessed and made sacred. But people were put into those that were not allowed to be buried in sacred grounds. This is called unconsecrated ground. Muttling and murmuring, mumbling away, snatching at thoughts that have gone astray. Hail Mary, full of grace, for the sinners I pray. They should lock your one away. I know that's what they say, but I have a long list of things to do today. There are dates to be remembered and snatches of songs to sing and biscuits to buy to dip in my tea, and sins I have forgotten that need to be confessed. Hail Mary, full of grace, and lilies to lay at the grave of my mother, and daisies to weave into chains for a daughter whose name has been forgotten. Hail Mary, full of grace, and hair dye to cover the roots going grey, and a dripping, leaking, broken tap to fix. Hail Mary, full of grace, and the dead need dusting. Their names need remembering and spoken out loud, and candles need lighting at the foot of the Virgin Mary, Mother of God. Hail Mary, full of grace, and there are unmarked graves to find, and bones to be counted and sifted and sorted and blessed, and names to be remembered and spoken out loud. Hail Mary, full of grace, and names to be remembered and spoken out loud. So thank you. I'm going to do one last one now in this little bit, and there seems to be a bit of a theme about what we say, what is spoken and what is not spoken. And I'm reminded of the quote by Audre Lorde. I'm sure most of you know the amazing poet and writer Audre Lorde, who wrote, "Your silence will not protect you." So this next one is another brand new poem, so I'm hoping it's finished. We'll have to see how it sounds. And this poem, now I hope I pronounced this correctly. This poem is it's called Layla's Lament, and it's based on there's an amazing dancer and choreographer called, and I hope I pronounce his name correctly, called Ali Charour, C-H-A-H-R-O-U-R, Ali Charour, from Lebanon, which of course is particularly relevant at the moment, very, very sadly. But Ali Charour's piece was called Layla's Death, and in the Lebanon, as in Ireland, there's an ancient tradition of keening, of lamenting at a funeral when somebody has died. So in Ireland, it would be mainly the women, and also in the same in Lebanon, it was mainly the women who keened, who did this lamenting for the dead. And it's a dying practice, apparently, in the Lebanon. You know, there's not very many people who still know this practice, and it's also a dying practice in Ireland. So his piece was based on his family member, Layla, who was still able to do this lamenting for the dead. And as a dancer, he responded in dance to her piece, to her chanting. So I'm going to just show you a picture of this, if I can just, I'm going to just share my screen, if that's okay. Hope that's all right, Ahmed. I want to share my screen because I want to show you this picture. Oh, I can't share it now. Okay.
No, that would be great if you could.
No, you've disabled that as a possibility. I don't think I'm able to do it from your hosting. No, you.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, don't worry. Well, I'll just leave it. But there's a beautiful picture I wanted to show you, but never mind. It doesn't matter. It's from the dance. So basically, the dance piece, and I know I'm going on about it a bit more, but I want to explain this. The dance piece, there's an older woman who comes on, and she's all dressed in grey, and she begins this really heart-rending lament for the dead. And then these young male dancers come on and respond to it. It's very powerful. So if you do get a chance, I'll put it in the chat. Do look up Layla's Death by Ali Chahor. It's very, very powerful. So I am now going to read the poem, and it's called Layla's Lament. The audience cough, fidget, settle into silence. The lights dim, and we are mantled in darkness. Layla emerges slowly from the shadows, shrouded in grey. The young men hang back, their supple bodies alert, straining to hear the rhythm of her grief, how the grey weight of it drags her heavy body across the stage, her feet turning and turning in the dust, a slow lament, lifting her arms towards heaven, then falling to the ground again and again and again, the names of the dead spilling from her mouth, red petals falling to the ground. Finally, they begin, the men, to move. They begin to trace the shape of her sorrow with their bodies. They lean into it, their strong arms buckling under the weight of it, their torsos glistening with sweat. They are floored again and again and again. They rise, arch, shudder, fall and fall and fall, their hands stained red. There is no glory here. Only loss upon loss upon loss, so far back they have forgotten how it began, this slow grinding of their souls into dust. But she remembers. She carries the memory in her body, in her voice, in the wordless lament pouring from her throat, rising and rising, filling the space where we sit, transfixed and silent and somehow inexplicably redeemed. Thank you.
Thank you. Many thanks, Siobhan. Mitul, if you kindly read, well, Youssaf said brilliant, and then said lovely as well to Siobhan's reading. Mitul, if you kindly read some more comment, and then our next poet is Sutapa Sengupta. So if you kindly give a brief introduction on Sutapa as well.
I will come back to the comments a bit later, as I've lost the new comments in the live stream. So meanwhile, I'll read the introduction about poet Sutapa Sengupta. Poet Sutapa Sengupta was born on 7 November 1960 in Kolkata. She obtained BA Honours in Bengali from Presidency College, Kolkata, and MA in Bengali from Jadavpur University, Kolkata. She also completed her MPhil and NET from Jadavpur University, Kolkata, and was awarded UGC Research Fellow in Department of Bengali. She currently works as an associate professor at the Department of Bengali, Jadavpur University, Kolkata. Some of her most noteworthy published books of poem are Andhokarer Nauko, Strir Patro, Shrestho Kobita, Afuranto Nurjahan, Jannat is Srinagar, etc. Her poems have been translated in many languages, including English, Hindi, Kannada, Assamese, Oriya, Nepalese, etc. Some of her translated works include poems of Mirza Ghalib for a collection, poems of Latin American poets, poems of Kamala Das and Atur Ravi Verma in a collection. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitul. Hello, Sutapa Sengupta. Namaskar for joining as part of this series. And you know, warm welcome to the show again. If you kindly read about 2 or 3 poems now. And first of all, how are you? How is Kolkata?
Namaskar. Kolkata is fighting back like any other in the world. ভয় আছে, যুদ্ধ আছে।
বাহ, বাহ। আপনার এখন যদি দু তিনটে কবিতা পাঠ করা যায়, আপনার
আমি
কবিতা শুনবো এবং কবিতার মাঝখানে একটু সংক্ষেপে মানে today's the title of today's initiative is 100 poets around the world for love. So if you kindly tell us briefly, I know whenever we try to talk about love, it's such an unending paradigm, such an unending space it invites actually. So it's hard to be brief, because sometimes love means is driving force of everything, and sometimes love doesn't mean anything actually, because it is seated in every single particle. So for a poet, it's very hard to talk concisely. But if you kindly briefly give your own interpretation about love. So when we utter the word love, what would you see in front of your eyes?
Love is the essential part of our life. It is unending. But sometimes we restrict it, which is not so okay for everyone. Love is the force by which we can confront anything. Should I start now?
Yeah. If you kindly start reading.
I will read a poem in Bengali. One poem. It is a little long. That's why I'm reading only one poem. First in Bengali and then in English.
Okay.
Welcome to everyone. নৈরাত্যের বিরুদ্ধে আছড়ে পড়ার জন্য তট চাই, দুহাতের বাধা চাই চৈতন্য বাহুতে, সমুদ্র কল্লোল চাই, আকাশের নেমে আসা চাই ঝগড়া করে, সন্তর্পণ মেঘ চাই, বজ্রের কানাকানি চাই বৃষ্টি ঝঞ্ঝা ঘিরে, খেলা চাই, সংযমের হল্লা চাই, বিপণন বাক্স চাই পিছে পড়ে থাকবার জন্য, খোলা ফিতে নাটবল্টু সংগ্রহশালা চাই, এ সমস্ত জড়ো করে উল্টে যাওয়া চাই, দৌড়নোর আগে বাঁশির ফুরফুর চাই, হাওয়া দিক বসন্তের উদ্যানের নিচে, ঝরা পাতাদের হেসে ওঠা চাই স্রেফ একবার আগুনের আশ্বাসে, সোহাগ চাই অস্তে যাওয়া বিকেলের জন্য চিনি মাখা, বিষ চাই ঔষধের পাত্রে, চুমু চাই বৃদ্ধাবাস বলিরেখার ঝর্ণার কিনারে, নত মাথা চাই কোলে, কোল জুড়বার অনাথ বাচ্চা চাই, শ্বেত চাই, জামা চাই, ওড়না চাই, বিধবার থান কাপড় চাই, চাই কম্বলের সুতো, চাই কমলিওয়ালার পাশ, ছাড়ি গৃহবাস, চাই ঈশ্বরের আছাড়ি পিছাড়ি কান্না, মৃদু হাসি, প্রেমিকের আরক্ত নয়ন, চাই ওষ্ঠাধর, ঠুটো জগন্নাথ চাই মর্ষকামে কাতর যুবক, চাই প্রহ্লাদ ও জগবন্ধু, চাই ছাত্র কিশোর পাঠ্য উন্মাদের ডায়েরি। মাঝামাঝি ভাঙা চাই, আপেলের বীজকণা, ইন্দ্রিয়ের আলগা রাস, সমূহ গণিত তত্ত্ব, চাই তসবিমালার গহনে এক শ্বাসরুদ্ধ লহমার ম্যাজিক। খোলা ইস্পাতের ভ্রান্তি চাই, একবার অন্তত একবার পড়ে উঠে পেড়ে ফেলবার আগে। তার জন্যে চোখ আঁকা রেখে যাওয়া চাই বল্লভ বাহুতে, চেনা গন্ধ চাই, দেয়ালে ও মেঝের মধ্যিখানে পদ্ম ফুটে ওঠা চাই তাকানো মাত্রই। দোল চাই, পূর্ণিমাও চাই, ঢোলকত্তাল বাজিয়ে খিস্তি গান চাই, যেরকম বুকের ভিতরে বুক মিশে গেলে ধ্বনি ওঠে গুম 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 গুম। বিপদ সংকেত ভেঙে বেঁচে ওঠা চাই নম্র করতলে, খই চাই তাজা। জানা চাই, বোঝা চাই, কত রাত পার করতে হবে যমুনার জল, জলেরও আধার চাই, রঙও চাই, কিন্তু না হলেও একরূপ কিংবদন্তি চাই। কৃষ্ণ, কাহ্না, কলস্বর, রাধে রাধে চাই। ধুলি চাই, অমৃত রক্ত পলাশপত্র চাই, ভাঙা কলসির পশ্চাতে। যেদিকে তাকাতে নেই সেই তাকানো চাই। জন্মান্ধের গালি চাই, নিরুপায় চিরকিশোর উত্তরীয় খানি ছিঁড়ে যাওয়া চাই। তাকে বপন করার মতো মাটি চাই, বিড়ালের নখের মতো তীক্ষ্ণ ফালা ফালা সময় ও কাল বিন্দু চাই। চাই শহর থেকে সস্তা ছাতার মতো একরাশ কাব্যে উপেক্ষিত। চাই মাথা বিগড়ানোর গল্প, অজস্র কাশফুল ভর্তি লম্বা লম্বা রেল লাইনের নিমন্ত্রণ। চাই অপু ও জনিহীন নারীদের দুর্গা মণ্ডপ, সামান্য স্তব। চাই চাই বলা বন্ধ করবার জন্য চাই প্রতিদিন ভাত রুটি, কাপড় মকান। চাই মরাইয়ের আশেপাশে একটু স্থান, রোদ আর প্রেমিক প্রেমিকার জড়াজড়ি। চাই অবৈধ সন্তানের অহংকার, চাই জরির বদলে খাঁটি সোনা। চাই সোনা সোনা সোনাদের অস্বর্ণ সুলভ পাগলামি, মাতোয়ালি, দিওয়ানাপন। চাই ডেসডেমনার মতো মরে যেতে চাই, চাই অসতীর মতো, চাই শিব নিন্দা শুনে দেহত্যাগে রত, চাই মীরার ভজন ঘন, চাই ক্লিওপেট্রা হেন। চাই ক্যাসাবিয়াঙ্কার অন্তিম বিশ্বাস লব্ধ প্রাণখানি পোড়াবার আশ্চর্য জাহাজ এক। চাই জাহাজ, পৃথিবী, নীল গ্রহ, বিশ্ব, দেশ। চাই এক জাহাজ ভালোবাসার জন্য ছোট্ট একটা কলজের থেমে যাওয়া ঘিরে এক ফোঁটা দু ফোঁটা শোক, চোখের কয়েকটা পালক, জুয়ের নিঃশ্বাসের মতো এক আধবার কেঁপে ওঠা চাই।
If you kindly read another poem.
No, now I start the translation.
Okay,
Is it
great.
okay with
Thank you. Great.
Heart's desire. Need a shore to dash upon, both hands to put a stop to the Chaitanya pose. One the roar of the ocean, the quarreling sky to descend. One discreet clouds, thunderclaps around rain and storm. Need games, austerities, hulabaloo. Did marketeers box to lag behind, unwound ribbon, nut bolts, museum. Need to cartwheel on collecting such stuff, when the whistles blow before the start of race. Let the wind blow beneath the spring's garden, the fallen leaves need to light up and smile for just the promise of fire. One carries, need sugar-coated poison in medicine cup for the setting dusk. One kiss on the precipice of the fall of age lines in an old age home. Need a head on the lap, an orphan kid to nurture. One sweat, shirt, dupatta, widow's white cloth, one the blankets thread. Turning back on home and hearth, one to move to the ascetic's place. One God's inconsolable weeping, gentle smile, lover's bloodshot eyes. Want both the lips, a nimini-pimini, agonizingly masochistic young man. One Prahlad and Jagannath, madman's diary fit for teenage readers. Need to break from the middle. Fragment of the seed of apple, loosened reins on the senses, the entire theory of math. Want a breathtaking moment's magic in the depths of the prayer beads, the rasmatas of the dazzling still, once, at least once, before rising from fall to topple again. Want to paint a benign eye on the beloved's arm. Want the habitual smell, want a lotus to bloom at the center of the wall and floor where the eye falls. Want holy and also the full moon. Want rebel songs with drums and cymbals, just as a roll of drums reverberates when the heart fuses with another. Need to leave defying shrill siren. Needs fresh perched rice on the gentle hollow of the palm. Need to know, to understand how many nights it takes to cross this Yamuna's water. Even the wanted needs a vessel, some color, if not, a desperate legend. One chorus by Krishna, Krishna, chanting Radhe, Radhe. One dust, ambrosia, and also the red palash. One to peep at the broken pitcher where it's forbidden to look. Need to hear the cursing of the born blind, the tearing of the rap of the hapless forever youth. Need worthy soil to embed him. One shredded time and drops in it as sharp as feline claw. Want a handful of characters discarded by poetry like cheap umbrellas from the city. Need electrifying stories. Want invites from long, long railway lines laden with white catkin. Want Apu and a Durga Mandap full of sexless women, a little incantation. To stop the whale of want, it is necessary to have roti, kapra or makan every day. Want sunshine and a little space beside the granary for hugging lovers. Need the pride of being an illicit child. Want real gold in place of golden thread. Want unbecoming madness, frenzy, avidity of the goody goldies. Want to die like Desdemona, like a slut. Want to lay down life at Shiva's calumny. Want Mira's concentrated bhajan to be Cleopatra-like. Want the wondrous sheep in which to burn Casabianca, firm in his belief till the end. One ship, world, blue, planet, earth, country. For that shipload of love, the stopping of that little heart needs a drop or two of mourning, a few eyelashes, like the breath of jasmine, a tremulous feel sometimes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sutapa Sengupta, for this beautiful reading and powerful poetry. We'll come back to you again. Mitul, if you kindly read a brief introduction on poet Khaled Hussain, who joined from Bangladesh, and if you would like to read some audience's feedback in the meantime. Youssaf said intricate and gorgeous work to Sutapa Sengupta's poetry. And Siobhan said beautiful, Sutapa.
Shamim Reza, কবি খালেদ হোসেন, কবি সুতপা সেনগুপ্ত, কবি বন্ধু আলফ্রেড খোকন এবং সব্যসাচী টি এম আহমেদ কায়সার, প্রাণপ্রিয় বন্ধু শামীম শাহান এবং মিতুল, বিদেশি বন্ধুদের সকলকে অভিবাদন. Lots of people are watching, including Sir Shamim, Shaun Mahmood, Priyotush Khosh Chaudhary, Rahel Chaudhary, and Neeldeep Sarkar. I'll read a brief introduction of poet Khaled Hussain. Khaled Hussain gained prominence as a poet of extraordinary Bangla rhymes and poems during the 80s. Born in 1964 in Fotullah Naranganj, Khaled Hussain became widely famous for his artistic creativity and use of romanticism in contemporary Bangla poetry. His love poems are some of the most impressive creations of modern time. He succeeded in attracting many like-minded readers by his attempt to delightfully combine romanticism with diversity of modern thoughts. He represents Bangla poetry through his brilliant poetic diction and outstanding expression of absolute affection and romantic love. A professor of Bangla at Jahangirnagar University, Khaled Hussein's unique poems have been able to express thousands of lovers' unspoken minds. Thank you.
Thank you.
Many thanks, Mitul, and many thanks to all of the audiences who are watching. Many thanks to Shamim Raja, who left a wonderful comment here. Shamim Raja, like I said, is the grand supporter of the series, supporting the series from Bangladesh. And also he was featured as part of this series, I think at the inception. Shamim Raja is a wonderful poet as well, a versatile artist with huge interest in music. He's a fiction writer and a critic as well. Many thanks to all others who have shared this streaming and letting your friends be the part of this session. So Khaled Hussain, thanks again for joining. How are you?
I'm fine. আমি তো শুরু করেছিলাম আসলে ডেস্কটপ থেকে, পরে ওটা নেট কানেকশন চলে যাওয়ার পরে আমি এখন মোবাইলে ঢুকছি, জানি না ঠিক দেখা যাচ্ছে কিনা।
একদম you look wonderful
এটা
now.
খুব আনন্দের ব্যাপার। আছি আসলে, দেশটা তো এখন একটা মহামারীর ভিতর দিয়ে যাচ্ছে, তার সঙ্গে আসলে বন্যা আছে। আমার জানাশোনা অনেক, সবারই তাই হবে, কারো চাকরি চলে গেছে। এগুলো নিয়ে মানে অসুখ বিসুখ ছাড়াও অর্থনৈতিক একটা চাপের মধ্যে জানাশোনা চেনা মানুষ আছে, এগুলা যে কারো ক্ষেত্রে আসলে এক ধরনের যন্ত্রণার কারণ হয়ে দাঁড়ায়। আর যারা লেখালেখি করে বা শিল্পের যে কোনো শাখায় সংযুক্ত থাকে, তারা তুলনামূলকভাবে একটু সংবেদনশীল হয়। এই সংবেদনশীলতা তাদের অনেক তর পায়, ফলে ওই রকমই একটি অবস্থা আছে। আসলে অনেক ভালো আছে বলা যাবে না, কিন্তু ভালো থাকার চেষ্টার মধ্যে আছি, ভালো থাকতে চেষ্টা করি, আর সঙ্গে যারা আছে তাদের ভালো রাখতে চেষ্টা করি। এটি আপাতত আনন্দের। এই ধন্যবাদ। আমি কবিতায় চলে যাই।
Great. And then I'm sure the poetry and writing is helping in meaningful ways to spread remedy. First of all for yourself as a poet, perhaps, and secondly for others. Whenever we read poetry, whenever we perhaps watch any pieces of art or film or anything, any genre of art, we immediately get a remedy.
Obviously.
Exactly. So poets are sensitive, but again, poets are poets are in a safe side, because in this difficult time, they can perhaps engage themselves in more productive work, but also giving them a bit of redemption, a bit of ventilation. So if you kindly read 2 or 3 poems now.
Yes, that's better. It is no doubt we can express our agonies if we feel it, our love, our joy. No doubt it firstly relaxed us and then it communicates others. This is no doubt enthusiastic for a poem or any sort of artist. I'm going to read my poem. Bangla.
Yes, if you one thing, or I'm not sure whether you can do, if you kindly come a bit closer to your mobile, Can you, would you be able to come a bit more close, a bit closer?
Yes, it's possible.
Exactly. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Be okay. Yes.
Thanks for suggestion. মেঘের সংসার কবিতার নাম। তুমি যদি মানুষের কথা না বলো, তুমি কেউ নও। নিসর্গের প্রেক্ষাপটে মানুষকে দেখো, তার বিবর্তন লক্ষ্য করো, কিভাবে সে মাথা উঁচু করেছে, কিভাবে সে চকমকি ঠুকছে, পশু তাড়াচ্ছে, শিকার করছে, বাঁচবার প্রয়োজনে। দেখো, চাকা তাকে কোথা থেকে কোথায় নিয়ে যাচ্ছে। দেয়ালে সে ছবি আঁকছে, হাতে হাত রেখে বৃত্তাবদ্ধ হয়ে নাচছে, মাঝখানে লাফিয়ে উঠছে আগুনের শিখা, চারপাশে কালো কালো ছায়া প্রেতের মতো লাফাচ্ছে। মানুষ কান পেতে নদীর কথা শুনছে, পাখির গান, ভাবছে নদী কোথায় যাচ্ছে, পাখির মতো উঠতে হবে তাকে, সে জলে নেমে যাচ্ছে, মাছের মতো সাঁতার কাটছে মানুষ। আর এই দেখো মানুষের সমাজ, এই দেখো মানুষের দ্বন্দ্ব প্রেম, শিউলি ফুলের মতো পাপড়িতে শিশিরের শরীর ঘেঁষে মানুষের রক্ত ঘাম, লবণাক্ত নারীর শরীর, ক্ষিপ্ত মোষের মতো পুরুষের ক্রোধ, নিঃশ্বাসে প্রশ্বাসে লাভা। দেখো সরকিও বললম, দেখো বনাজি ওষুধ, দেখো ছাউনি, দেখো ঘর, জানালা, বারান্দা, উঠোন, দেখো দিগন্তের পথে, দেখো বাউলের হাতে এক তারা। নদীর পার, বটগাছ, রং বেরঙের মানুষ, হট্টগোল, মিলিত মশলার আমিষের ঘ্রাণ, মহাজনব্রাত্য, গামছায় মুড়ি, পাটালি গুড়, হাতুড়ি, পাটাল, কোদাল, খুন্তি, লাঙল, সার। এই খরা, এই বন্যা, এই মন্বন্তর, এই ভেজা চোখ, গনগনে আগুনের মতো মণিকর্ণিকা, নাক ছাবি। দেখো মানুষের পেশি, মাটির জঠর থেকে টেনে আনা শস্য মুদ্রা, সোনালী সজল, কিশোরীর বাঁকা চোখ, আলতা আঁকা পা, আষাঢ়ের মেঘের মতো উড়ু উড়ু চুল। দেখো শান্তি, দেখো ক্লান্তি, দেখো ধর্ম, দেখো রাজনীতি, পূর্ণিমার চাঁদের তলে মেঘের সংসার, তার তলে গুপ্ত হত্যা, লুপ্ত ফুলের ঘ্রাণ। দেখো সংঘ, বিচ্ছিন্নতা, ঠিকানাহীনতা। তুমি যদি মানুষের কথা না বলো, তুমি কেউ নও। দেখো কোথা থেকে এসে মানুষ কোথায় চলেছে। প্রথম কবিতা।
বাহ. If you kindly read another one.
Sure. এখন তোমার পায়ের তলায় মাটি, এখন তুমি সব দরজা জানালা বন্ধ করে দিয়েছো, ভেঙে পড়েছে তোমার অন্তর্গত দেয়াল আর ছাদ। এখন তোমার চারপাশে নিসর্গ প্রকৃতি, উপরে আকাশ, এখন তোমার পায়ের তলায় মাটি। এখন তুমি দক্ষিণে তাকালে দিগন্ত লিপ্ত সমুদ্র, উত্তরে তাকালে অফ্রস্পর্শী সবুজ পাহাড়। এখন তুমি উপরে তাকালে নীলিমা, তার নিচে মেঘের সংসার, পাখিদের ডানার সঞ্চার। এখন আর শয্যা বালিশে তোমার দিন রাত আত্মসমর্পিত নয়, এখন তোমার মস্তিষ্কের গভীরে ক্লান্তির কলুষ নেই, তোমার বাহু রূপান্তরিত হয়েছে ডানায়। ইচ্ছে করলেই আকাশের ওপারে আকাশ পরিভ্রমণ করে আসতে পারো, বা সমুদ্রের সোনালী মাছের মতো ঘুরে আসতে পারো লতা গুল্মময় জলের গভীর। ইচ্ছা করলেই জড়িয়ে ধরতে পারো যে কোনো বৃক্ষকে, যে তার হৃদয়ের সব আবেগ দিয়ে জ্যোৎস্নারাতে ফুটিয়ে তোলে গন্ধ পুষ্প বা ফল। ইচ্ছে করলেই আর দূর থেকে সাঁতার কেটে তোমার পদচুম্বনের জন্য চলে আসতে পারে এমন এক অবাধ্য মানব, তুমি সাঁতার জানো না জিনো, যে তোমাকে কোমরে জড়িয়ে ধরে জলে নামিয়ে নেবে। আর তুমি দেখবে সাঁতার তোমাকে শিখতে হয় না কখনো, কেননা তুমি তো জলের নিচে মাছের মতোই অবাধ বিচরণ করতে পারো, অংশ নিতে পারো প্রভূত লীলালাস্যে। ইচ্ছে করলেই তুমি পা বাড়াতে পারো সমতল কোনো তৃণভূমিতে, তোমার পায়ের তলায় মেঘমালার মতো ঘাসের আরাম, আর দূর থেকে ভেসে আসবে মশলা বনের ঘ্রাণ। তোমার মনে হবে পৃথিবীর কোনো প্রান্তেই তুমি নিঃসঙ্গ নও, তবু যদি কারোর জন্য তোমার বুকের খুব গভীরে এক ফোঁটা শিশির জমে, দেখবে সে বেরিয়ে আসছে ঘাস বনের আড়াল থেকে, মুখে মৃদু হাসি, চোখে অনন্ত তৃষ্ণা। আর তুমি অজগরের সামনে হরিণ যেমন তেমনি সম্মোহিতের মতো এগিয়ে যাবে তার দিকে, তার দুই হাত প্রসারিত দুই দিগন্তে, এক হাতে আকাশ আর অন্য হাতে সমুদ্র। তুমি ঝাঁপিয়ে পড়বে তার বুকে, আকাশ আর সমুদ্র তোমাকে জড়িয়ে ধরবে পরম মমতায়, কেননা তুমি সব দরজা জানলা বন্ধ করে দিয়েছো, বসে পড়ছে তোমার অন্তর্গত দেয়াল আর ছাদ।
Many thanks. Thank you, Khaled Hussain, for this.
ধন্যবাদ আপনাকেও এবং আপনার মাধ্যমে সবাইকে জানার সুন্দর।
Wow. We are going back to our Youssaf again, unless Mitul would like to read some audience's feedback.
Yeah.
Or perhaps you can, if you have lost the thread, we can come back to you again.
I can read some comments. Shamim Reza replied to Lopa Momtaz, Ji Kobi Lopa Momtaz, আমরা উদ্বোধনীতে ছিলাম, জহর সেন মজুমদার ছিলেন, এটা আমাদের আন্তর্জাতিক প্ল্যাটফর্ম. She earlier asked whether this is the first episode or not. Then he has also added, খোকনকে চিনতে পারছে না হামিম কামরুল হক, সায়রা মুন্নি, দারুণ আয়োজন, কবিদের নিজ কণ্ঠে কবিতা পাঠ ভালো লাগলো, জমির হোসেন, দারুণ অনুষ্ঠান, তাপস রয়, নমস্কার, জাহাঙ্গীর আলম, excellent show, keep it up.
Many thanks for this beautiful comments. So Youssaf, this is the last round, so if you kindly read your rest of the points, perhaps another 2 or 3 points.
Yeah, I'll just read a couple. Here's a sea poem. Once
so
I was driving,
seemingly sea is influencing you in a meaningful way. Is it quite near to your house?
Very near. I can see it from my windows,
Wow.
my balcony. I'm right across.
Wow.
I mean, there's a small freeway and a little neighborhood, but then are the wetlands and all the birds and everything, and everybody is just over there. So I can often hear the sea and see it from my window, and I just
Wow.
Yeah, really.
Poets who if you go to California, please go and visit Youssaf's house. It's not far away.
Yeah.
I'm inviting on behalf of you, Youssaf.
Oh my God. Well, one at a time. Not everyone at once, but sure. It's I'm a great tour guide, and there are some amazing spots here. And so once I was driving by the end of the bay, when it turns into wetlands, and it's a large grassy, it's shiny grass, and over beyond, as I was driving, I could have sworn I saw a bizarre shadow floating above the water, and I thought, what is that? And I checked again, it's not on the window. It was I could have sworn I saw a dark shadow floating above the water, and I determined that it was going to be, I just called it in my mind, this is the ghost of a seal. So I wrote a poem to the ghost of the seal. I have seen the dead seal body rising. I have seen the dead seal body rising and falling with the current that heaves to escape its auburn rug, floating lopsided, face hidden, entrails migrating into the water like man-o'-war tendrils. In my dreams, it hovers in the air like a saint, abdomen sliced cleanly like church doors, viscera issuing like Sunday goers. How pleasant it would have been back then to hold your hand. I see the love in your body, the dreamy God set deep within your brow, a solemn prayer meant for someone like me, brimming with hope and fire, and we no more than companions. It is there, I wait, listening forever. In my mind, your body soars endless waterways as spirits carry you unguided, haunting the bulwarks of your skeleton. To me, you're nothing less than a savior. In my heart, I'm a child trapped, rotting in memory, crying for hours, my leg slung through the floorboard of our hideaway, waiting for someone to find me. In my soul, you are the ends of the eyes. In my soul, you are the ends of the eyes, the pall of the wake, the bringer of rot, the kindliest siren. I have seen the dead seal body, rising and falling with the current. It will be the last thing that I see. So that's the end of that seal poem. Thank you for your attention. This is a very this is an important and bizarre one that something happened in Morocco about 3 or 4 years ago. Something akin to what triggered the Arab Spring for many years. The Arab Spring was triggered by a lemon salesman who self-immolated because in protest of being overtaxed. And in Al Hoceima, a fisherman at an outdoor market had a fish. He caught a really great fish that morning, but it was out of season. And he needed to still make money, even though, I mean, what could he do? Like throw the fish back? It was already dead. He put it on his booth and he was selling it. And then the authorities came and with a garbage truck behind them, and they picked that thing up and threw it in the back of the truck. And the police threw it in the back of the truck, and somebody signaled to go ahead and crush that fish. But meanwhile, the gentleman, the fisherman, jumped in behind into that truck as well to grab that fish and bring it back out, because he said, "You can't take that away from me. You have no right." And what happened was they killed him in the process. He died in the back of the garbage truck. So I wrote this from the perspective of the fish. And she is a water spirit. How the sword maiden loved a young man. Did you only see me as a body to satisfy your hunger when you pulled me from the ocean? You knew I was far from home, swimming unprotected. In Morocco, we never say, "I have eaten enough today, please take my food. I have seen enough today, please take my freedom. I have lived enough today, please take my life." As I slid from the water to fill your cracked hands, I fought you like any maiden would. Yes, she would tell you to go suck on a rotten egg, you maudlin child. You had no dexterity when first you held me, nor the last. Little did we know we would spend the rest of our lives together. You brought your shiny treasure to the souk that morning, so proud to be seen with me. I was the beacon of your booth. They came and looked. You lost a button. Your chest was so big, no one minded my nose, or how still I lay, dressing the ice between lesser creatures, and no one minded until the police noticed. They watched as we chatted and sold a few things sitting around me, and I saw, but said nothing until they called the truck to drive through the stands. It followed them like a clanking, impersonal storm cloud. I wondered what the driver had eaten that morning. Certainly not me. Certainly not you. But that truck would be eating more than its share soon. I called you in my language, but you couldn't hear. As police asked you questions, people backed away. Then earnest cries and tears began. I saw this too before I was heaved into the truck with layers of garbage. I called and cried. You flew in head first to help me, holding me in your arms. I stared into your neck. Your pulse stopped as we hugged. The gears forced us closer. On the day we met, we became one loving body, forever united. We had seen enough, eaten enough, lived enough together. Who could think we would ever say this, but we did. And the crowds could not believe it either. They too were crushed in the rubbish, rallied for days, forced together by the gears of governance, eyes full of pepper spray, everyone tearful, swimming the wishes of a fishmonger. May the skies one day ring with gold coins, forever turning, never falling, and never dying. Thank you. I forgot to say that it was a marlin. It was a long-nosed fish. So it's a swordfish. So that's why she's the queen of swords. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Youssaf. We are moving on to the next poet, Alfred Khokon. So this is the last round. Alfred, if you kindly read the rest of the poems now. Alfred, you're muted now. If you kindly unmute yourself. For us to hear you, you are muted, Alfred. Can you hear me? If you kindly unmute first. আলফ্রেড, আপনি আপনার মাইকটাকে একটু আনমিউট করতে হবে। আপনি মিউটেড আছেন, এজন্য আপনাকে শুনতে পাচ্ছি না।
শুনতে পাচ্ছেন?
একদম একদম।
আমি অবশ্য কম শুনতে পাচ্ছি, কারণ আমার ইয়া নাই, তো ফলে এটা আমি একটা পড়বো বাংলাতে আর একটা ইংরেজিতে পড়বো, যদিও ওই বাংলার ইংরেজিটা না।
বাহ বাহ।
এটা শুধু বাংলা, এটার ইংরেজি হয়নি এখন। কবিতার নাম কুয়াশার আড্ডায়। এই সন্ধ্যা জানবে মহানন্দা নদী আর নদীর পাড় ধরে সন্ধ্যা গাছের পাতারা চুরমা। নদীতে জলের ভেঙে যাওয়া মন, সুদূর পাখিটির একলা গলার গান। আমরা গিয়েছিলাম এ কথা কুয়াশা জানবে। কুয়াশার আড্ডায় বসে পড়া নীলকণ্ঠর মুখ, সংবর্ধনা সন্ধ্যায় চায়ের কাপে একটা পিঁপড়ার হৃদয় উন্মুখ। একটা লাল পিঁপড়ে কামড়ে দিল ঠোঁট, হঠাৎ বৃষ্টির ফোঁটা জিভার কাছে বলল ওঠ। উঠে যেতে যেতে মনে পড়ল ঢেউ, উঠে যেতে যেতে হাজার বছর ফেলে আসা বাঁক। বাতাসের কাপ ছুঁয়ে সমাগত সন্ধ্যারা বলল চলে যাবি, রাত্রিতে থাক। থেকে যেতে যেতে চলে গেছি দূর, থেকে যেতে যেতে একটা মুগ্ধ দুপুর। কুয়াশার আড্ডায় বসে যত মুখ লেখা, রাতের টেবিলে তারা একা, সম্পূর্ণ একা। Next, I will read one English translation, translated by Alfred Khokon. All relation indeed. All relationships stay there on the roof like a working maid. Quite early in the morning, she cleaves the sunlight perhaps. At the end of the noisy night, the wrapper of child sweet clinging onto mother's breast, there remains the saliva of the father. In the pungent smell of nicotine, this relationship is born, dies, and reborn. This is how I smoke while you remain beside in deep hatred. This is how this relationship with you stacks, how this work takes on. This is how in the relations of sunlight you hear the sudden tremble of the cloud. or a screen day somehow comes to age, away from the heaving bosom of the clouds, sounds keep lapsing into silence. In love and in exhaustion, I kiss the saliva of the tongue and protest. If you make sounds get born. If you make something fly, it keeps flying. When those sheltering birds open slowly in fear, even a young revolutionary in pain sits around a table in the corner. That's just a little poem I read. কবিতার নাম একটি বিস্ময় চিহ্ন। সম্ভবত ছোট কবিতা বাংলা ভাষার। বাতাসের কোনো দোষ নেই, কিন্তু পাতাটি যে নড়ে। খালেদ ভাইকে জিজ্ঞেস করছিলেন যে তাও নয়, সুতাপা আপাকে জিজ্ঞেস করা হচ্ছিল লাস্ট মানে প্রেমের আর আজকে তো প্রেমের কবিতার একটা ব্যাপার ছিল। খালেদ ভাই তো নিজেই প্রেমের কবিতা করেছেন, রোমান্টিক অনেক কিছু। তো আমি আসলে দেখেই প্রেমের কবিতা পড়লাম। প্রেম সম্পর্কে আমার ধারণা এই যে বাতাসের কোনো দোষ নেই, কিন্তু পাতাটি যে নড়ে। I like to read it from English or translated by Alfred Khokon. Exclamation mark. The wind is faultless, yet the leaves murmur. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Many thanks, Alfred. I always have an interest when a poet makes film, and then I know that you started making some short films, and I'm not sure those films are still available in YouTube. You said that you perhaps would upload it in YouTube or Vimeo. One you made on আপনি বাঁশির উপর একটা বলেছিলেন যে একটা বাঁশির উপর একটা ডকুমেন্টারি করেছিলেন, and I was keenly interested into watch this. Is it available? এটা কি এখন ইউটিউবে अवेलेबल আছে?
এই মুহূর্তে হয়তো নাই, কিন্তু ইউটিউবে আমার একটা সাইট আছে, আমি এটাকে আপলোড করে দিব আপনাকে দেখার।
একদম প্লিজ। হ্যাঁ একদম।
বাংলা ছিল কেনা বাঁশি বাই, রাইট?
বাহ বাহ। Thank you Alfred. Our next poet is Siobhan Mac Mahon. So Siobhan, this is the last round, so if you kindly read your rest of the poems, perhaps another 2 or 3, if that's okay. Sutapa Sengupta wrote on Alfred's poetry. Beautiful, Alfred, beautiful reading. Mitul, would you like to read more comments from audiences before we move on to?
Yeah. Shamima Sultana, অনেক ভালো লাগলো Khaled Hussain sir. Rahman M. Mahmood, great initiative, love. Prakash Debnath, অনেক অনেক ভালোবাসা শ্রদ্ধেয় Khaled Hussain স্যারের জন্য। লোপা মুমতাজ, আগের কোনো পর্ব আমার দেখা হয়নি, সময় নিয়ে দেখে নেব, খুব ভালো উদ্যোগ।
Lopa Mumtaz, you will find it in Gronthee's page. One thing you need to do, perhaps if you subscribe, if you click like on the page, you will be updated about our future events. Gronthee began its literary journey with a world vision, actually, to connect the world through the verses of poetry, through the beauty of literature, through the beauty of philosophy, from all across the world. So, I mean, you will see through Gronthee's activity, you'll find this world vision in every single activity. So please like the page, Gronthee, you'll be updated about this. And then if you go to the post of this page, you will see all different conversation series, and especially the 100 Poets Around the World for Love series, previous series in that page, in post of the page. So many thanks for watching and many thanks for your interest. Our next poet is Siobhan Mac Mahon. If you kindly read your concluding poems.
Thank you, Ahmed. Okay, so I've got 2 poems. This one is called Behind the Veil, and it's about what they call in Ireland the Illa Lo Trecht, which means the divine, which is within everything. You are in everything, in the sea breaking softly on the rocks, in the yellow-orange lichen, I remember you. You are my remembering, and my body answers your call. It summons me, and we are together again, like two exiled warriors walking along the stony shore in harmony. You, with your long grey untamed hair loosened from its bond, and your smile echoes mine, and my smile is bursting from the center of my heart, spinning and wheeling like a Ferris wheel for the sweet joy and the ecstasy of it all, and we are saying yes, yes, this is how it is and how it has always been and always will it be, and all the old taboos lie scattered on the floor, a flotsam and jetsam of nothing, and we dance, the younger and the older, untamed and free. Okay, thank you. And I'm just going to do one last one now. This one is called enchantment. So the old kind of use of enchantment, to chant and something being magical. I come across him standing at the edge of the lake in the woods, swaying from side to side, singing and clapping his hands, his head tilted towards God, his arms outstretched as if he was about to step out across the water, gathering the swans to his breast. But hearing my feet, he stops, and looking embarrassed, folds his thin arms tight across his chest, hiding his bitten fingernails in the grubby too big fleece flapping over his skinny body. And I see holes in his shoes, hair that needs a cut and a wash. I see his crucifixion eyes. I see the endless days shambling down airless corridors, blazing with neon, the locked doors, the safety glass, the unmistakable smell of disinfectant and despair, forever and ever, world without end, without hope, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, and all the doors locked and no way home, forever and ever lost and no way home. I heard you singing, I say. Yes, he says shyly. I was ill for a year and I was afraid I might have forgotten. And we stand together at the edge of the lake, falling into silence. Then, just as I am about to leave, he begins to sing again. And it seems to me as if for one brief moment the earth, hearing the heavenly sound of her name rippling across the water, stops her terrible weeping, gathering the dying song to her starving breast. Ola, ola,
Many thanks, Siobhan. Youssaf said, very sweet, stunningly beautiful, Siobhan. Let us go back to our next poet for her final input, for her final reading, Sutapa Sengupta. একটু যদি আপনার আরো একদম আমরা শেষের দিকে চলে আসছি, শেষের দিকে দুটো কবিতা হতে পারে। এটা হতে পারে যে বাংলাতে পড়লে বাংলাতেই থাকলাম, আর ইংরেজিতে যেটা থাকলে একটা নতুন কবিতা হতে পারে। ইংরেজি থাকলে একটা নতুন ইংরেজি কবিতা হতে পারে, মানে rather than reading Bengali and its translation. আপনি একটু মিউট আছেন, আপনাকে একটু আনমিউট করতে হবে আর কি। If you can't unmute yourself, ওখানে দেখছি আপনি মিউটেড। সুতপা সেনগুপ্ত, আপনি মিউট আছেন, আপনি কি আমার কথা শুনতে পাচ্ছেন? তখন আপনাকে একটু আনমিউট করতে হবে একদম। ওখানে গিয়ে একটা হ্যাঁ থ্যাংক ইউ
এক মিনিট
একদম
একটু সামান্য সময় নিয়ে নিচ্ছি।
একদম ঠিক। মিতুল ইত্যবসরে কোনো কমেন্ট পাঠ করা যেতে পারে?
Yeah, absolutely. জুয়েল মাঝার, শুভেচ্ছা জানিয়ে গেলাম, ব্যস্ততার কারণে থাকতে পারলাম না। অভিষ্পিত রুদ্র, loving it, a great initiative. Taposh Rai, dear Kaysher Bhai, what a great confluence of rivers of poetry, originating from profound glacier of inner hearts and meeting at the time of place. I feel so elevated in this union. Noble job, appreciate for making it happen.
Many thanks, Taposhji, for watching this. You are such a firm supporter of Shoulders global music, especially Indian classical music. And many thanks for supporting, helping, and beautiful, inspiring comments. Jewel Majhar is also a poet from Bangladesh, has been a powerful poet from Bangladesh, was featured as part of this series. Many thanks for watching. Many thanks for your comment. Sutapa Sengupta, are you ready now?
হ্যাঁ, রেডি রেডি। শুরু করছি তাহলে।
একদম।
আমি একটি বাংলা দুটি প্রথমে বাংলা কবিতা এবং পরে ট্রান্সলেশন দুটো পড়ছি, ঠিক আছে?
বেস্ট হলো যদি একটা মানে বাংলা পড়লেন, বাংলা মানে ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজটা তো বোঝা গেল, এরপরে আরেকটা কবিতার ইংরেজি ট্রান্সলেশন পড়তে পারেন আর কি। দ্যাটস হাউ ইউ ক্যান পারহ্যাপস ইনস্টেড অফ রিডিং মানে বাংলা এবং ট্রান্সলেশন।
ঠিক আছে, ঠিক আছে। মানে একটি বাংলা পড়বো আর অন্য একটি কবিতার ইংলিশ ট্রান্সলেশন পড়বো।
একদম, হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ।
তাতে একটু গন্ডগোল হবে, ভুল বোঝাবুঝি হবে। ছোট কবিতা দুটোই পড়ছি।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে, পড়ুন। না 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 ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে, ও একদম একদম।
শুরু করি?
একদম প্লিজ।
আমার প্রিয় রিকশাওয়ালাকে মেঘের কথা বলছিলাম। অশোক, অলোক, পুলক, পাবক, এই 4 রকম মেঘ আমাদের সবকিছুকে কন্ট্রোল করে। নিয়ন্ত্রিত বলতে গিয়ে জিজ্ঞাসা করলাম, আপনি সর্বদয় পড়েন কিংবা পথবার্তা? কারণ ইদানিং খবরের কাগজ পাবলিকের ভাষা নিয়ন্ত্রণ করছে। যেমন জনজীবন বিপর্যস্ত হলে বোঝা যায় সমাবেশ সাকসেসফুল হয়েছে। সিগারেট ছাড়তে পারি না যে কারণে, সে কারণে তোমাকেও ছাড়তে পারি না, এই গানটার কথাও বলছিলাম। শেষমেশ দরাদরি করে যখন রিকশায় উঠে বসলাম, বোঝা গেল মধ্যবিত্তের কথার দামের রেট আর কিছুতেই বাড়ানো যাচ্ছে না। I was talking about the clouds to my favorite rickshaw-wallas, Ashok, Alok, Pulak, Pavak. These 4 types of clouds control everything for us. I was about to say regulate, but found myself asking, do you read Sarvodaya or Pathavarta? Because nowadays the newspapers straitjacket the public's language. For instance, when public life is disrupted, it is understood that the meeting has been successful. I can't leave you for the same reason that I can't quit smoking. I also told him about this song. After haggling over the fare, when I finally sat on the rickshaw, it was quite clear that the rate of the bourgeois words cannot be hiked any further. এবং আমার দ্বিতীয় কবিতাটি হলো কবিতাটির নাম বচপন। ছেলের জন্য বেলুন কিনছি, সামনে একটা বাচ্চা মেয়ে, হাত বাড়িয়ে করুণ মুখে চকচকে চোখ লোভে। ওকেও একটা দিন তো, বলি শটান মানবতায়। দাম চুকিয়ে যেই তাকালাম, আবারও হাত খালি। কিরে, বেলুন কোথায় গেল? ফেরত দিয়ে দিলাম। মুচকি হেসে চোখ মেরে দেয় 8 বছরের শিশু। খুব ঠকেছি বোকার মতো, ভাবতে ভাবতে ফিরি। কিন্তু ওকে ঠকিয়ে, ওর শৈশবকে মেরে, ওর বাবা ওই বেলুন ওলা ভাত জোটাচ্ছে মেয়ের। The balloon seller's daughter. I was buying a balloon for my son. A little girl stood in front, hand stretched, sad-faced, eyes glistening with longing. Give her one, I ordered the seller with bold humanism. The moment I paid for it, her hand was empty again. Hey, where's your balloon? Returned it, said the 8-year-old, winking at me with a knowing smile. I have been badly cheated, fooled, I think, as I walk back. But it's really her father, that balloon seller, who is cheating her, throttling her childhood just to feed his daughter. Namaskar.
Many thanks, Sutapa Sengupta. Our last poet is Khaled Hussain. If you kindly read your concluding poems now.
আচ্ছা, ধন্যবাদ। আশা করি শোনা যাচ্ছে। আমাকে আবার বদল করতে হয়েছে। আচ্ছা, এটা খুবই আনন্দের। আমি যে কবিতাটি পড়ছি এর নাম হচ্ছে গভীর অরণ্যে জ্যোৎস্না। তোমাকে ভালোবাসি বলে দীর্ঘদিন তোমার কাছ থেকে দূরে থাকলাম। পাতাল যেমন আকাশ থেকে অনেক দূরে থাকে, কিংবা চোখের তৃষ্ণা থেকে মায়াবী মুখ, কিংবা নদীর উৎস থেকে সমুদ্রের মোহনা। অভিমান এত তীব্র, কিন্তু আমি আর সইতে পারছি না। আমাকে তুমি ডাকোনি, তবু আমি ফিরে আসছি। জল যেমন ফিরে আসে জলের বুকে, স্মৃতি যেমন ফিরে আসে গভীর লতা গুল্ম ছিঁড়ে, আলোক রশ্মি যেমন ফিরে আসে অন্ধকারে জরায়ু ভেদ করে, তেমন ভাবে আমি ফিরে এসেছি। কোনো সংবর্ধন আমি আশা করি না তোমার কাছে। চৈত্রের জমি যেমন আশা করে না আকাশের কাছে এক ফোঁটা জল, শীতের আকাশ যেমন সমুদ্রের কাছে আশা করে না এক চিলতে মেঘ, শরতের মেঘ যেমন তার বুকে আশা করে না বজ্র বিদ্যুৎ। তবু আমি ফিরে আসছি তোমার কাছে, তোমার কাছে। কিংবা আমি দূরেই যাইনি তোমাকে ভালোবাসি বলে, হয়তো আমি তোমার বুকের মধ্যেই ছিলাম। জলের মধ্যে যেমন লুকিয়ে থাকে তৃষ্ণা, নক্ষত্রের বুকে যেমন মিশে থাকে স্বপ্ন, স্বপ্নের ভেতর যেমন লুকিয়ে থাকে মগ্ন চৈতন্যের বিষ। দীর্ঘদিন পরে আমি তোমাকে অনুভব করলাম। বৈশাখের গরম ধুলো যেমন অনুভব করে প্রথম বৃষ্টির জল, নারী যেমন আস্বাদন করে মাতৃত্বের অহংকার, মাতৃত্ব যেমন অনুভব করে অস্তিত্বের বিস্তার। কিংবা এই প্রথম তুমি আমাকে অনুভব করলে গভীর অরণ্যে জ্যোৎস্নার মতো, কিংবা সমুদ্রের তলদেশে বর্ণময় স্নায়ু শিরার মতো, কিংবা ঔদাস্য ভারাক্রান্ত অন্তর্নিহিত কবির মতো। এটি আরেকটি কবিতা পড়ছি। আমাকে কেউ দেখতে পায় না, দেশ আমাকে হৃদয়ে ধরেছে, আমিও তাকে। এর ফলে আমাকে কেউ দেখতে পায় না, দেশটাকেও নয়। আমি মানুষের মধ্যে মিশে থাকি, মানুষও আমার মধ্যে। এর ফলে আমাকে কেউ দেখতে পায় না, সংখ্যাতীত মানুষকেও নয়। যারা দাবড়ে বেড়াতে চায় বিশ্ব চরাচর, তারা বলে লোকটা নেই। আর থাকলেও তার কোনো দেশ নেই, তার কোনো সমাজ নেই, স্বজন নেই। শুনে আমি হাসি। বয়স কিছু বেড়েছে বলে এই অসুখটা সম্প্রতি আমাকে ধরেছে। আগে যেখানে অভিমানে ঠোঁট শিশুর মতো ফুলে উঠতো, সেখানটায় হাসি পায়। আমার চোখে ভেসে ওঠে মহাকালের তরঙ্গের পর তরঙ্গ। আমি দেখি পাহাড় মিশে যাচ্ছে সমুদ্র গর্ভে, সমুদ্র শুকিয়ে হয়ে যাচ্ছে মরুভূমি। মানুষের কান্না আর রক্তপাত আমাকে আর্দ্র করে রাখে, কিন্তু আমি মুখ ধুই ঝর্ণার জলে। ফুলে ফুলে এখনো আমার জন্য সঞ্চিত আছে মধু, গাছে গাছে ফল। যারা রাজার মুকুট পরে থাকে আর যারা রাজার মুকুট পরতে চায়, যাদের তলোয়ার বিদ্যুৎ চমকের মতো ঝকমক করে, বর্ম অভেদ্য, তারা বলে লোকটা নেই, থাকলেও তার চোখ নেই, আর যদি চোখ থাকে তবে তা উপড়ে ফেলা দরকার। আমার শরীরের কোষে কোষে তখন নক্ষত্রের মতো ফুটতে থাকে চোখ, অযুত নিযুত অসংখ্য।
Thank you very much. What a great time we spent through poetry, and I'm sure
নিঃসন্দেহে আমাদের জন্য অনেক আনন্দের, নিঃসন্দেহে অনেক ভালো উপভোগ করলাম, অনেকের সঙ্গে পরিচিত হলে এটা খুবই আনন্দ।
একদম এটা এর চাইতে আমার ধারণা যারা দেখছেন তাদের কাছে একটা সীমাহীন আনন্দের মাঝে কাটালাম। Such a haunting verses of poetry were read as part of this series today. And those who are watching, they found the equal solace, the equal ventilation as I personally did. So many thanks to the audiences who were watching and left beautiful, inspiring comments. And many thanks to today's poets, phenomenal poets of this time, for these captivating verses you wrote and you read so beautifully. If you'd like to add your concluding note before we end up, Youssaf, if you'd like to add any concluding note in just one line before we end up, you are muted.
Thank you for your wonderful hospitality, Ahmed. It's a pleasure to know you, and it's a great pleasure to meet each one of you in this meeting today. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share my poetry. Thank you.
Many thanks, Youssaf. Alfred Khokon, if you'd like to add something as your concluding note before we finish. You are muted again, if you kindly unmute yourself.
Thank you all. I'd just like to say thank you very much, everybody, especially with Sutapa Sengupta and Youssaf Mac Mahon. It's a great pleasure to meet you. Khaled Hussain is my favorite poet, so I know him very well. We have been together sometime, but never we Youssaf Alaoui-Fdili or Sutapa and Mac Mahon. That's a great pleasure to me. Thank you, Gronthee. Thank you, Kaysher. I like to give thanks for Shamim Shahan, Bangladeshi poet and my friend.
Exactly, he did a huge support to this series. Thank you.
That's why I all have a night.
Many thanks, Alfred. Look forward to meeting you all after this COVID, perhaps as part of the International Poetry Festival here in London, or perhaps in Bangladesh. But look forward to meeting you here in London as part of International Poetry Festival. All poets who became the part of this series, look forward to meeting you all. Our next, Siobhan, if you would like to add something briefly, perhaps in one line.
Briefly, I will just say a huge thank you, or as we say in Ireland, Gurav Mila Mahagath, which means that may there be a million good things on you, to all the wonderful poets, and to Ahmed and Shaheen and Shamim, everybody who was here and made it possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Siobhan. Sutapa Sengupta, if you'd like to add something as your concluding note just before you finish, we are just approaching to the end. You are muted again, if you kindly unmute yourself.
Love you all. That's
Thank
all.
you.
Love you
Great.
all. Have a great time. Have a great time.
You too. Look forward to meeting you. Look forward to reading more poems, more poetry of you, more works of you.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
sure we'll have the opportunity to read each one's work more, each one's activities more, and then look forward to meeting you here as part of this as part of International Poetry Festival. Khaled Hussain, if you would like to add something as you're concluding.
Obviously, it is no doubt a fantastic and needed platform for us. We can exchange our views, and we shared our poems with all of the renowned poets of the world, and no doubt it will enrich us. And I should be eager for this sort of platform to be here again, though it is not possible. It means I am really, but
it will be. Gronthee will continue his journey through, connecting connecting powerful poets from different parts of the globe. Many thanks, Khaled Hussain. কি চমৎকার লাগলো আজকে, কি একটা মানে কবিতার মাঝে বিভোর হয়ে থাকার মতো আনন্দ আর কিছুতে নেই। এবং কবিতা আমি বারবার বলি, অনেকেই হয়তো রিপিটেশন মনে করতে পারে যে কবিতা শুনে শুনে বাড়ি ফেরার পথ ভুলে যেতে চায়, কবিতা পাঠ করে কবিতা লিখে। হ্যাঁ, তো সুতরাং মেনি থ্যাঙ্কস, আজকে ভীষণ সুন্দর উপভোগ করলাম। I would like to request Mitul, if you kindly add your concluding note just before we finish.
This series is the start of a great worldwide revolution, a collaborative mission to spread the strength and beauty of poetry across the globe. Thank you so much for being part of this initiative, 100 Poets Around the World for Love. Together, we will make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitul. Shamim Shahan, if you'd like to add your concluding.
Okay. Many thanks, Kaysher. Many thanks, poet Youssaf Alaoui, poet Sutapa Sengupta, poet Alfred Khokon, poet Siobhan Mac Mahon, and poet Khaled Hussain for joining Gronthee initiative 100 Poets Around the World for Love. Many thanks for your beautiful contribution. Just let you all know that poem which have been read and will be read as part of this series are getting published in our next publications, which I believe will serve as a diary for all writer friends around the world. Thanks, stay well. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Shamim Shahan. So this is a good news. This is a good news. Those for the readers, those who have missed to watch this session, all those poets who that have been read and that will be read as part of the series is going to be published in the Gronthee's next publication, literary publication. So please don't forget to click like on the Gronthee's if you'd like to be updated about Gronthee's future events. As you know, this 100 Poets Around the World for Love happens every Saturday now at 4 p.m. UK time, and also Gronthee is engaged in conversation with contemporary poets, contemporary world philosophers, contemporary world filmmakers, and feature and bring their anecdote, their life stories on art, their life journey in art. So please follow Gronthee's page, and if you have any suggestion, please do share. So many thanks to all of these poets today, from myself, from the Gronthee, for being the part of this series. Gronthee is extremely delighted to have you as part of the series, and many thanks to all of our audiences who left beautiful comments, who watched, and then who shared this live streaming and have given the opportunity to your friends to watch this. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of the evening, and look forward to meeting you after COVID, perhaps an international poetry festival here in London. Thank you. See you then.
Thank you.
Thank you.